Hello, hello. So, today I'm going to be answering the question of how I got into video games. I like to think that started with my mom being pregnant and my dad giving her a Game & Watch during her third trimester, which she supposedly played a lot. But other than that, I had been exposed to games my whole life. My cousins lived upstairs and they had a Nintendo, and they would let me play whatever games they had that weren't Zelda, because they were both really into Zelda at the time and did not want me to mess with their saves. And I understand that, so I didn't. But I played Paperboy a lot and Duck Hunt. My dad bought me a Sega Genesis Sega CD combo a couple of years later, and a Super Nintendo for my birthday several years after that. Each of the consoles I had gotten were about two and a half years after they were released. We were a broke family, so none of these things were launch day. Actually, my first console I think I got at launch was a PS2, because my aunt bought it for me. I begged her for it. I begged her for a PS2 for Christmas. But she bought it at launch, but she made me wait till Christmas to get it. So I had to wait 2 months. Can't complain, I got a PS2, right? Rewinding to a bit before that. Yeah, even though I've been playing games my whole life, and I had a couple of consoles up to that point, and it wasn't a casual thing. I don't feel, because I played them at least every other day. I still feel that one of the big driving forces which changed it to being, that hobby into, my future was, or my future passion. And I think it was when it was actually after the PlayStation came out, because a friend had got a PlayStation. They had just gotten the PlayStation, and they had Ape Escape and Resident Evil 2. So that tells you the date right there. It was after, well after the PlayStation was initially released. So this should be around 1998. They got an Ape Escape, Resident Evil 2. And I'd never seen a PlayStation before. I'd heard about PlayStation, and I was like, oh my god, I want to check this out. So the first thing he did was put on Ape Escape. I was like, okay, this is really cool, but I want to see this other game that you have over there. And he's like, what, Resident Evil? So I was like, yes, I want to see this one. Oh, you wouldn't like it. I asked to check it out anyway. I was like, well, just put the game on if you can. And it was, the rules were set that the first time that I would die would be it. That was all I could play. I could play up until I died, and that was it. So fine. I took the controller and I looked at the graphics were like the best, craziest, scariest, most awesomest thing to me at the time. You look back now and it's just like these block zombies. And but it was just the most amazing thing I had seen at that point. The zombies coming out of the fire and crawling, and my life was just changed right there. I was also terrified of horror movies up until that point too, but there was just something calling me to this horror game. So I played. And I made it up into the police station and around in the first few areas. And that's when I met the liquor. And that is where I died. Because Um, yes, it destroyed me pretty quickly. But after that, I remember just kind of saying, oh, okay, that's cool. I have to go now. And I left, and I went home and I asked my mom I was like, Mom, can I get a PlayStation? Nope. It's my dad. And they pretty much both, they obviously both said no, but they told me that, if I earn the money, I can buy it myself. So I got a job, or I got, odd jobs. I was young, so it wasn't much I can do. I did babysitting or tutoring, and saved allowance, pretty much earning maybe $20 a week, and it took me a long time to save. Obviously, I mean, when you use $20 a week, my console. By the time I saved up the money, I saved like exactly, I think it was like $250. It took me, I don't know how long it took me. It took me a while, but I saved up $250, and it was, I think, like, once I got that last $10 to equal the $250, it was like 7 o'clock at night, and I was like calling my mom and my aunt. I was like, you gotta take me to Toys R Us. I have the money to buy this. And they was like, no, let's just wait until tomorrow. And I was like, no, I have the money now. You told me if I earn the money that we can go buy this. How are you gonna tell me? And that was one of my biggest and only temper tantrums I remember throwing, was being told I couldn't go buy the console after saving all this time and money. And I was like, I've waited for like a year, and I have this. And then so my aunt was like, fine, okay, we'll go get this. It obviously means a lot to you. And so we went to the store, and that is when you get greeted with the rude awakening of memory cards. Memory cards was not something that I planned for, so I didn't have the money for that. And then being explained that I couldn't save my progress without one. But my aunt was an awesome sport there, and she gave me the money for a memory card, and she also had bought me the game. So I bought the system, and she got me the memory card and the game, and I went home, and I started playing Resident Evil 2. And yeah, that's the game that really changed everything for me. I love the zombies. And I grew up loving horror movies. And obviously the series. I prefer the older games to the newer action ones, like 5 and 6. 2 being my favorite, obviously. Rebirth. I love the remake. I loved Resident Evil 1. I bought it. As soon as I saved more money, I went to the store and I got Resident Evil 1, because for some reason at the time it didn't set in. I was just so after the idea of Resident Evil 2. I was like, wait a minute. There obviously one came before this, so I got Resident Evil 1 after. And that's, again, I go to spirals. Me and another cousin started pooling our money and going after horror games, and we went at the Clock Tower and played the hell out of that. Dino Crisis, Parasite Eve, Galarians, and whatever we couldn't buy, we would rent until we could buy it. And just horror games became one of my favorite genre. My dad started bringing home Doom and Wolfenstein 3D on floppy disks, and I played the hell out of those. And Sanitarium on PC. Just wherever I could find horror in a video game, I was looking for it. Oops, let me put my phone on mute. Sorry about that. It was just wherever I could find horror in games, and so a lot of my personal favorites are that. It's Clock Tower, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Fatal Frames. It stood with me up until now, and so that's also what inspired me to make videos. I would I'd play a game and I'd be like, oh man, I want to see a music video featuring like survival horror characters, and so then I made one for fun. I like Clock Tower. I keep saying that, but then I made a video joking around, but I made my own cheesy kind of campy B-horror trailer for it. So though, like that's where my favorites, like my personal favorites, lies in the horror genre and horror games and stuff like that. But there were tons of other games throughout the years that caught my attention and are totally up there with top series that I hold near and dear to me. I remember getting Disgaea, and I played Disgaea for 107 hours. Final Fantasy X, I think I put 97 hours into it, and several times I would fall asleep playing and just like wake up with the controller and the game's still on. I'm like, oh, okay. And then you would wake up, and then you would just like start playing again. You don't get up or anything. It's like, oh yes, I gotta finish this battle. Oh, okay, and I'll just go back to sleep. And yeah, that's how I got into games. I'm sorry if it's all over the place. It's been there's a lot more to it. A lot more games in there too, but I wanted to try to make it a short video. Other games that I played growing up that I find important, or why I play games now: Willy Beamish, Streets of Rage, Sonic Pinball, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, Mario, Paperboy, but Resident Evil, Clock Tower. Those two are very, very, very important, and I probably beat or played through those games the most in my early years. I own several different versions of each Resident Evil game because that's one of the few series that I actively collect. I have a couple of Clock Tower stuff too, but there are certain things that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to find, like the mangas that were released only in Japan. But with Resident Evil, I've managed to find a couple of like super awesome collectibles that I will never ever let go. But yeah, games are always more than entertainment. Like I really appreciated them on so many levels, which is what inspires me to not just play them, but to collect them and to talk about them and to think about them. Yeah, because it's my cat decided to join. That's Super Milk Chan, by the way. Yeah. So, I can't pick a lot of favorites because there's so many. So it's like it's so hard for me to pick like a top 10. I mean, I can't pick so few favorites. I can pick a ton of favorites. A lot of favorites is easy. But yeah, so if I had to narrow it down to 5 games, if I had to narrow it down to 5 games, five favorite games or series. It's gonna be series, not games. So Resident Evil, Advance Wars, Silent Hill, Clock Tower Disgaea. Those are 5 big favorite games of mine. Man, it's so hard to pick favorite games. Anyway, so yes, go with those 5. Go with those 5 for now, because then I'm just gonna not be able to stop talking about listing games. Anyway, if you have more questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will answer them. If you want a video specifically to address them, just ask for a video response. If not, I may just directly answer your question there, because that's what I do. I answer questions. Yes. So see you next time. Bye.